This podcast is brought to you by Knowledge at Wharton. Please visit knowledge.wharton.upenn.edu for more information.
Most of the U.S. airline industry is under assault from skyrocketing fuel prices and a sluggish economy. But the message that Southwest Airlines President Colleen Barrett brought to the recent Wharton Leadership Conference was about the importance of treating employees and customers well. Innovative leaders such as Southwest Chairman Herb Kelleher and smart management of non-human resources, especially Southwest's fuel purchasing hedges, that have saved the company more than $2 billion, have certainly helped the airline post profits for 35 consecutive years. But the foundation for all that, she said, has been making the satisfaction of employees and customers the highest priority.
This was a wonderful, in a sense, a valedictory, if you don't mind my using that term. Colleen was at the inception. She's been there from the creation, 30 years plus. And Tom did make reference to the fact that Southwest is one of the great successes in the aviation industry. Many measures for that, one of which is that all over the world today, those of you who've traveled in other countries, you know just about every country on earth has a Southwest look-alike. So Ryanair most famously in Ireland and now Europe, but just about every country, India, you name it, there is a Southwest look-alike. It's a great model. It's one of the great business models of the modern era. If you think automaking, you think Toyota. If you think retail, you often think Nordstrom's. If you think airline, you think Southwest. Here's one of two people, Colleen and Herb Kelleher, an idea way back, put it together. So I'm going to begin with a question about Colleen's retrospect on her own career. Colleen, you didn't have a bachelor's degree in aviation management, as I recall. How did you learn to run an airline? How did you learn to lead one of the great successes of the modern era?
Well, I did not have an aviation degree. I didn't have any kind of degree except a legal secretarial one. And my passion is and always has been serving other people. And today we talk about servant leadership, but I've not heard that expression, but I really did like to solve problems. Herb's passion was really in serving his clients because he was a lawyer by trade. And I had always done legal secretarial work. So I would love to tell you that I had this great career path, but I would be lying. And I would love to tell you that we decided that, we did decide that there was no decent airline service in the state of Texas. We studied some airlines in California, and we thought that if California could support a short-haul intrastate carrier, that probably Texas could do. I'm not from Texas, so I can be a little sarcastic and say that everyone in Texas thinks they're bigger and better than everyone else, and so that was the idea, was that we would have the best, and so we went after it, and we did a pretty good job. My contribution, if you will, Herb was the visionary, the creative thinker, just a brilliant guy, although he never intended to run the airline. Life just evolves, you know. He only ended up running an airline through a series of circumstances that are just crazy, but in a nutshell, I will tell you that he became so passionate over the cause of Southwest Airlines and over the fact that there were so many people trying to keep us on the ground and out of the air and put us out of business once we went into the air, that he finally just got ticked off and decided during a particularly bad time for our industry that there was no point in going in and hiring someone to run us because of the PATCO strike. Things were really, really bad back in the 80s. So we went to Southwest on a loan, if you will, and we never actually canceled our leave of absence from the law firm, which we took in 1981. And here we are all these years later. So, it just sort of happened. I've spent most of my time on the people side and the customer service side. We do build our pyramid a little bit different than what you've heard today from most of the speakers. We're pretty bold about it and pretty vocal about it. We say that at the top of our pyramid in terms of the most important priority that we have is our employees. And if we treat them right, now you heard one speaker say this today, but I spend, certainly 85% of my time is spent on employees and on delivering proactive customer service to our employees. If I do a good enough job of that, and if my fellow peers do a good enough job of that, they in turn spend their life trying to assure that the second most important customer to us in our pyramid, which is our passenger, feels good about the service that they are getting because they are getting proactive customer service delivery. And if those people feel good enough about it, hopefully some of you are sitting in the audience today, then you come back for more. And if we have a decent business model, which we do, I say humbly and with pride, then the shareholders, we make a little bit of money. And in our industry, that's pretty darn hard these days, but we've managed to do it consistently for 35 years, which is really unheard of in our business. And you come back off, the passengers come back often enough. That means that our third customer in terms of importance, our shareholder, is satisfied. And I won't dwell too much on it, but we did just have our shareholders meeting on May 21st, and truthfully, that would make a case study. Southwest is all over the world, different case studies, finances, marketing, culture, customer service, you name it. But to see really and truly the love fest that took place at our shareholders meeting was awesome for anyone that takes pride in what they do, and for anyone that wants to be a well-respected and well-liked organization. There was not a dry eye in the house by the time that Herb walked out of that room, and it was really spectacular to see.
Got a question about your relationship with Herb. Warren Bennis, one of the great observers of leadership of the modern era, entitled one of his books Co-Leadership. And it's about the rare phenomenon, but sometimes seen, of two people running the outfit at the same time. He really did that with Herb for 30 years. What was the secret of working with Herb as, in a sense, the co-leader of this great enterprise?
No, I think it was, and I agree that did happen. Of course, I did all that without a title for many, many years, but that's okay. Yep, I never wanted a title in the first place. I think it's just because we absolutely shared common values. We were pretty much raised the same. We love people. Like I said, he's creative and a genius and all that, and I'm much more of a plugger. I'm a completer finisher. But for those of you who have taken Myers-Briggs, Herb and I share the first three letters, and we're 2006 percentage points apart on the last one. So that's why somehow we've survived, I think, together, because we complement each other. But Herb has always treated every person, and he's been the best mentor in the world, but he's treated everyone on his team, whether it was practicing law or running an airline, or he has worked with a lot of the people that you introduced or that someone introduced earlier today. He's worked with Homeland Security, he's worked with all of those groups, TSA, the Air Force, all branches of the government. He has gone at their request to teach them things about leadership and organization. And he has always treated everyone on his team as an equal. And when I say that, an egalitarian spirit. And he doesn't see rank, and he doesn't see tiers on a ladder. And because I knew that, I don't know, I think I was a somewhat cocky little girl from the sticks of Vermont, but if he said I could do something, I just assumed I could do it. And my mother always told me I could do whatever I wanted to, so I just sort of followed suit. And he never embarrassed you, even when you really did something really silly because you were naive or foolish or not too bright. He always supported you, and he always treated the team as complete equals to him, and that was his law clerks, his secretary, his, which I was, his, 2-year law firm partners, and or his, 30-year law firm practitioners. They were all part of the same thing. If he went to court, we went to court. He went to lobby, we went to lobby. I didn't know I was getting all these. I didn't know these were different or unusual opportunities for me. I didn't know any better, so it just sort of evolved.
Really touched on the next question. Stu Friedman earlier today used the phrase leaders, really made it a question. Are leaders born or made? And his answer was yes. You were definitely born. How about the made part? Just going back on your 30 years legal secretary, president of an airline, in between that and this, how did you learn to lead? What were the formative moments, the experiences?
I think I'm a better follower than I am a leader. Maybe we'll have to ask David that. I don't know how much exposure he's had to that. But I like being part of a team. Now, tell me I can't do something, I'll kill myself trying. I'm an overachiever. I'm not, I don't score off the IQ charts or anything like that, but I plug away and I work hard, and so tell me I can't do something. I'm kind of a firefighter, problem solver, and I love to solve problems. So I think that I'm as good a follower as I am a leader, and if I am one. I love to motivate people. I love to surprise people. All the things that Southwest stands for, I enjoy doing. I love to celebrate victories, no matter how small, no matter how big. I love for people to feel part of a bigger thing. I love that family spirit that you see there. That's not made up, it's real. Now, we're not perfect by a long shot, we know that. But the support that we give each other is really just an incredible thing. And I'm from a, poor little family that really never had much, and I think you just learn to appreciate that when you don't have anything, and then somebody gives you something, you really know that you're getting something pretty unusual. And I think that's how a lot of our employees feel. I don't know David's background. I don't know, what he comes from, but I can tell you this: when we have employees that have a problem, or we have employees that see a passenger having a problem, we adopt them, and we really work hard to try to make something optimistic come out of whatever the situation is, and to try to make people feel good about whatever the dilemma is that they're dealing with. And Philadelphia certainly is not one of the bigger points on our system. I hope it will be someday. But I hope some of you have been touched by all of that, because life's pretty short, and most of us have to do something to feel, put bread and butter on our table. And so if you can do something and feel like you've made a positive contribution in any little way, that's a pretty darn unusual thing. And I think we've got 35,000 people that feel that they can do that every day. And we've got a great business model. It works. It's we've been successful, but I think we've been successful mainly. We've got bright people, we've got very smart people, and they've worked very hard. And of course, our fuel hedge is probably the best of anything in today's environment of any company out there, at least of any airline. But it's pretty remarkable in the overall scheme of things if you can say that whatever you do for a living, that you enjoy it, that you've contributed and helped in some way make the world a better place. I can't do what Johnson & Johnson can do, but what I can say is that we've helped people achieve dreams. We've helped people just because of our very model of what we offer. I don't know that it will stay this way forever, but we've allowed people to go see and do things they never could have done before us. Because in 1971, before we went into the air, 13% of America flew. And those 13% were all male, quite frankly, and they were all businessmen. Women only flew if there was some family crisis. And today, and I'm not saying that it's because of us, but I am saying we changed the way that people thought about flying. We taught people that that fares could be, price elastic. That you could make money by filling your planes. You could allow grandmothers to go see their grandkids, 4, 5, 6 times a year instead of once a year because they could afford to on us. And if you gave them good low fares and you gave them frequent flights and you gave them decent customer service and just practice the golden rule with them, that they would come back for more and more and more. And it's just truly amazing what has happened out of all of that. I mean, we carry hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied minors every year. And between divorced parents, I get hundreds of letters every year from parents saying, thanks to your low fares, your high frequency, and the way that your people take care of me and my kids, I've watched my kids grow up. Hundreds of thousands of people that meet and form business partnerships on us. Open seating isn't all bad, guys and gals. I'm telling you, we've had people fall in love on us. We've had people that literally open business offices based on where we fly because they know they can rely on our service. I get letters, particularly from mothers, that will say, is there any chance that you're going to be at this city or that city because my kid's about to go off to college? I'm not sending them any place that you can't get them to and from because I'll never see them again. Wedding invitations from people that say, we've courted for 4 or 5 or 6 years, living in different states, going to different colleges. And we just feel that you're so much a part of keeping us together. We want you to come to the wedding. So Herb used to go to the receptions, meet all the women. I used to send the wedding gifts, but that's just, the way it is. And it's just a great, both of my parents are deceased, and I just hate it because, now my mother always believed I'd make out okay, but my dad never did. He thought I was nuts. When I left, a law firm that was paying me, fairly okay money, and why would you do that? I've been on 2 airplanes in my life. And, so I in a way, I wish that they could see how great Southwest has become. And we do all the things that your other speakers talked about. We try to be part of the community. We have what we call leadership expectations versus we do a lot of training and all of that. I think you can be trained. I think you can learn. But I think you have to instinctively and intuitively want to lead if you're going to. Our mission statement is so simple, and it's posted every 3 feet all over every location that we have. You've probably seen it if you're a customer, but it's really as simple as following the golden rule. Just treat people the way that you want to be treated, and pretty much everything else will fall into place. It's a fun company, as I hope you saw. And I've got to ask a show of hands. How many kind of have flown a little bit on us? All right. How many have flown a lot on us? All right. Thank you.
Outstanding. When academics have turned to people near the end of their career and asked, how is it you learned to, if you're Jack Welch, this is just before 9/11, how is it you learned to lead that particular company? Usually the answers are threefold. Number one, I was a pretty good student of leadership, not in a formal sense, but I love to watch politicians, people come and go. I learned from everyone. Number two, people say I had a range of experiences. But number three, and this is my question, half of my question, number three, people say, over my career, I had people that wouldn't probably have even known that they were doing this with me, but they were my mentor, my coach, my guide, my guru. The second half of the question, Bill George, former chief executive at Medtronic, He's written a couple books. In his second book, North Star, he makes an argument that if you look at people like yourself, and I actually forget if you're in this book, but in any case, he's asked, how is it that people like Andrea Jung has ended up at Avon, or in Renewey at Pepsi, or Ken Chenault at American Express? And just about everybody that Bill George did interview said, you know, there was a moment somewhere along the way where I realized I was going to make a difference, that I was a person who could indeed step forward, didn't necessarily use the L word, but there was a moment of identity, a transformative experience. Anyway, back to the two-part question. Just a couple words about your mentors along the way, and were there one or two formative moments that really stand out as you look back across 30 years?
I've had only really one mentor, and that's been Herb. But you have to realize I went to work for him, I was like 21 years old, and you know, I'm 63 today, and that's about all I've done. I mean, I've worked for lawyers when I was a junior and senior in high school, and a couple years when my husband was in the service. So he's been my only mentor. I've learned a ton from watching others, both the goods and the bads. I make most of my decisions. I'm right or wrong, I'm very quick, probably too quick, some would say, to make decisions about what I like and what I don't like, and I hardly ever change my mind. I have learned from watching people speak, from watching people interact with people, from being active in grassroots. I think life is just one big grassroots campaign, by the way. And honestly, I did grassroots stuff from when I was in high school, and I've never stopped. And to me, I just use the word a lot. I believe in causes. Your cause can be little, it can be big. But if it's really important, and our cause at Southwest, we finally defined it. We decided that we wanted to really give America the freedom to fly. We wanted to open up the skies of America so that people would democratize the skies. And we give a ton of freedoms at Southwest, and I'm sort of in the freedom business. And we do it with our employees, we do it with each other, we do it all the time. I suppose the defining moment for me would be that Herb threw me into, I never sought it. I never looked for it. There's somebody that was talking earlier today, and I was laughing about how sometimes you just get put into a position that you don't really ever want. And we were doing a commercial one time for a political office holder that was running for re-election. And I was her secretary, and Herb was putting the commercial together, and he had all these speakers that were supposed to come and talk. I'd never been on camera. I didn't even really, I knew the candidate, but barely. I'd been in Texas maybe 7 months. Anyway, we get to the TV studio, and there was supposed to be one woman, and she no-showed. So I literally was in jeans, pigtails. And he just said, well, Colleen, you're going to have to do it. And he throws me in the chair. I was sick at my stomach. The TV camera's on me, and I'm introduced as a single mother, a single homemaker. And I'm like, oh my God. So I couldn't tell you what I said during the show. But the next day, I got a call from, actually, it was Herb's father-in-law. And he said, honey, because they all say that in Texas, honey, he said, you were the only genuine person on that whole damn panel. And I said, well, yeah. But anyway, I think I decided then and there that if you just spoke from the heart, you'd probably be okay. And probably wouldn't win any medals, but, you get through life, so.
That's great.
Try
Good.
to do that.
Excellent. Thank you.
For more information, please visit knowledge.wharton.upenn.edu.